Okay, I just took the kids to school. I wanted to say I agree with you 1,000% with your message. The pendulum is swinging not as hard as it was in the beginning, but definitely hard enough for me to still notice, especially around my birthday, because I didn't want to be alone on my actual birthday. I am really proud of myself. I set out to go to your place for my birthday for the last, 6 months or something. I just didn't know exactly which day it would be on. So to me, it wasn't very spontaneous. It was more or less poorly planned. That's different than spontaneous. Like, I've always known that I was going to Waffalato is what my goal was. I just kept, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there on my birthday. And so I tried convincing Jim to allow me to go. In January, February, I requested the time off of work, and I had the 4-day weekend, and I was going to spend all 4 days there, is what I intended back in January. And then when I talked to you about it, you told me to make a plan A and a plan B. So my plan A was still always to go to Vegas, but I didn't quite know what that looked like. So my plan A, plan B, I was poorly planned. So my plan A then became skydiving. Skydiving happened on Sunday, which I didn't want to happen on Sunday. I would have rather it been my birthday or the day before my birthday. But because Christopher was coming, he wanted his kids to be there, and he didn't want to pull them out of school, we chose Sunday. And so I needed that small window for Vegas. And I talked to Talisha about it quite extensively. Probably talked her ear off about it, because I wasn't sure if I should wake up in Vegas on my birthday or rely on people in Vegas to make my birthday enjoyable. Like, do I go to breakfast on my birthday with someone? Do I go to dinner with someone on my birthday? Do I do it just the day before? Do I travel on my birthday? What do I want to do? So I had to get rid of everybody. I had to get rid of everybody's, my first and foremost problem is I have relied on Jim for so flippin' long, that I feel like if I don't rely on him, I need to rely on somebody else. So a lot of times lately, since I moved out, I've been relying on my mom, or I've called my brother for some computer help, or I have a friend who comes over to give me friendship, and we hang out and do girl things, crafts or movies or wine and stuff. So I feel that I'm still relying on someone else to fulfill me like Jim did. And that's where I know exactly what got me in trouble to begin with. I know that what kept me stuck in my marriage to Jim was that need for validation. And if I want to stop myself from clinging myself to the next guy or to the next person or friend or family member or whatever, I need to cure my need for validation. I need to do that. So yes, I have reduced my Marco Polo time. I don't post on Facebook every single day. I'm not aching for that validation anymore. I think I've curbed that addiction enough to recognize it, to curb it, to not reach out to people when I'm lonely. But I still want to have connections, of course. I can't let it be my end all be all of my happiness. So it's a really fine balance that I'm trying to find within myself. So I didn't want to wake up on my birthday and have that temptation to rely on someone to fulfill my birthday, right? So I chose Friday night, and I chose to leave on Saturday in time to be here for my brother. So to me, it was poorly planned, but it wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't exactly what I was envisioning. It wasn't exactly how I wanted it to go down. But at the end of the day, I did exactly what I set out to do. I wanted to see if I could make the drive to Vegas. I wanted to challenge myself, so I'm super proud of myself for doing that. I don't ever do anything like that for myself. 2, I also wanted to spend time with Talisha because she was available for me to land on, if that makes any sense. She was my landing from this huge thing that I did. She was available for me to spend the night at her house. She was available to, just let me run my mouth a million miles a minute as soon as I arrived, because I was full of adrenaline or excitement or whatever I was going through. And I became so hyped up in this adventure that I had that I couldn't sleep. When I finally went to sleep, I woke up kind of confused a couple times, like, where am I at? I don't even, oh yeah, I'm at Felicia's, okay. And then when I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, I think I had maybe had a total of 3 or 4 hours of sleep, which is not so good, but I was so grateful to Talisha. She cooked us breakfast. She, you know, talked with us. We hung out with Huxley. I talked to her husband quite a bit. I got to learn more about him, and he's really inspirational. He's talking to me about his college. His brother went back to school when he was in his 40s. And I want to go back to school now that I'm in my 40s. Like, I've always wanted to go back to school, and I'm in my 40s now, right? So, like, I'm gaining a lot of momentum and excitement with this trip already, right? And at the same time, I don't want to rely on anybody to be there for me. Like, I don't want it. I'm not expecting. I don't have this expectation of someone to fill this spot that I need them to fill. So I thought I kept it really pretty even keel with my validation addiction, with my approval addiction. And I just made sure that I kept saying what was true for me, which is, I don't want to interrupt your plans. I don't want to, you know, crash your day. My goal is just to go to Waffalato now. I see that they open at 11. So we'll start heading that way soon, eventually, type of thing. Because, I wanted to also be, you know, gracious to my hostess, we were still enjoying our conversation. So by the time I left and we arrived at Waffalato, I think it was at 12:11, I'm feeling this sense of, okay, someone's expecting me to be here. I'm meeting somebody. I expect something of them. I want to give them their time or their space, but I also want to connect. So that fine balance had to come into play. And I basically had to meditate my way through the container park. Like, it's okay, Crystal. And I think I recognize a lot of what my dad struggled with. I don't know if you remember my dad struggling with expectations of others, but my dad wrote about it quite a bit in his last journal before he passed away. When he was going through chemo, people offered to help, but then they didn't show up. Or people said they were going to come to the hospital to visit, and they called to cancel at the last second. And he just felt always let down, you know. He kept feeling let down, disappointed in others, like they weren't showing up, they weren't following through. And I think that stems from that constant need for validation, constant need of approval, where I feel I recognize that's what I need, but why can't I give it to myself? So I just kept working on giving it to myself. I kept working on giving it to myself instead of saying, where's she at? And I thought we were supposed to be here at 12:30, and what happened? And I had no idea you had a tour until after he told me later. There was no communication about that, which is fine. It was just, I'm like, crap, did I choose the wrong day? Did I do the wrong thing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I went back to my purpose. My purpose wasn't, I did not make this trip about Jim. I did not make this trip about Brooklyn. And I did not make this trip about Aunt Di or Talisha, or I didn't make it about anybody else. What I made it about was me. I wanted to see if I could drive there. I wanted to go see Waffalato, and I wanted to get back home in time to see my brother on Saturday night. I accomplished what I set out to accomplish, and I'm really proud of myself. I'm proud that we made it there safely. I'm proud that we drove home safely. I almost ran out of gas. I had a gallon and a quarter of gas left when I fueled up. I think it was Wiki Up, because I left Vegas without filling up, and I was waiting for a gas station, and I never saw one between Vegas and Wiki Up. I kept looking, and I think I may have passed something somewhere, but I was like, there's no gas stations in the long stretch of road. Oh my gosh. So anyways, me and Brooklyn had an adventure talking about walking to the gas station, you know, hitchhiking, coasting on fumes only. Like we were freaking out for a minute there, and it was fun. So then by the time I got to Wiki Up, and I think that's when I last Marco Polo'd you about, it's fine. It's not a big deal that we didn't connect. You were so right. I should do spontaneous things in the future. I want to. And that just because I didn't meet up last time doesn't mean we won't meet up in the future. It was just something that I had set out to do so long ago. I didn't set out so long ago. Okay, I set out a year ago to go to Vegas and see you, right? And see the Waffalato shop and stuff. That was my goal. That was a year ago that I made that desire, that I put it out in the universe that I wanted to do that. But it was like over a decade ago that I wanted to just go on a road trip without Jim. So I've done Tucson a couple times, which is 2 hours and back, or an overnight and back, which is a big deal for me too. But this was across state lines, and this was longer than 2 hours, and this was this required a little bit more planning and stuff. And so I was pretty proud of myself for not chickening out, because I almost did. And I think having Brooklyn with me helped me not chicken out, because she's so awesome to be there with me side by side. And she's been holding my hand through this in a way that makes me feel. Somebody was waving at somebody, but I don't know who they're waving at. Maybe they're waving at me. I don't know who they are. But anyways, I just wanted to say thank you. It didn't happen exactly the way I envisioned it, and that's okay, because that's part of what I'm practicing. Part of what I'm practicing is to roll with the punches, allow things to happen, being flexible, being open to things not going my way, and just appreciating them anyway, and going with the flow enough to enjoy it anyway. And so I did feel like I enjoyed it anyway. And yeah, of course it would have been better if I would have met up with you, but it wasn't the highlight of my weekend. Like, not to be rude, the highlight of my weekend was just being able to go, right? That was the highlight. Like, holy cow, I can't believe I did it. And then Saturday night, Christopher came over, which actually he was late as well. And so I took Jim up on his offer to make a steak dinner. To me, in my mind, it was my birthday weekend. So when he offered to make steaks and invited me over to eat with him and the kids, a steak dinner, I honestly thought that he was doing something for my birthday. Which just reminded me he got paid today and he wanted to do something today. But I don't think he's going to. I think I upset him enough to make him want to reject me finally. He hasn't wanted to reject me since before I left. And I think he's ready to reject me now, which is fine. I can talk about that later. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, so Christopher comes over. I went to the steak dinner, but it was nothing special. Jim didn't make any extra efforts to make it about my birthday, didn't blah, blah, blah. And of course, I'm still struggling with, I need someone to make me feel special. And I'm like, no, you don't, Crystal, you're fine. So I was able to leave there without touching him, without kissing him, without talking to him about love or anything like that. I was able to just get out. And then I went back to my place and cleaned it up. And my brother came over with his kids. They had a silly string fight, a war outside of my apartments. We bought a silly string can for each of the kids, and they ran around spraying each other with silly string. And that was fun until it wasn't. And then we stayed up talking for a little bit, and they blew up an air mattress, and everybody sprawled out in different places. Me and Brooklyn shared a bed, again, because we shared a bed at Talisha's. So that was pretty special that me and Brooklyn got to share that with each other. And I feel like I'm talking too much. But anyways, what was I saying? There's a bunch of teenagers right around here. They look like they're ditching school, so I was kind of distracted for a second. Okay, so then me and Christopher woke up on Sunday morning kind of freaking out about this skydiving thing, and we arrived there late because we're just procrastinators, late people like that. Plus we had all these kids to get out the door. And then we did the skydiving thing, and it made us both so sick. I think I was more sick than Christopher, but neither one of us felt really good after the skydiving. And we crashed on Mom's couch and just kind of the rest of the day on my mom's couch while the kids ran around her house, and she ordered pizza, and we all visited in our blah state. And that was my birthday. So birthday weekend, Friday, Saturday, that was Sunday. And then Monday, I was struggling. I took the day off, but I was struggling because I wanted to tell Jim about my adventures. I wanted to give it to him and have him be proud of me, or have him see that me and him can make this work if Crystal's just allowed to do stuff like that once in a while. And I'm okay with Crystal doing stuff like that because it's innocent and it's fine. Like, I was totally thinking that he was ready to change or willing to change. And so I start the olive branch of, hey, do you want to get together? I got to do some laundry for the kids, and let's go to the laundromat together. So the four of us met at the laundromat And he was in such a grumpy mood, and he was rude, and he was, and I just was like, what the hell? And so I took off my wedding rings, ready to hand them to him, because I need to stop thinking that he is fixable. And I'm addicted to thinking he can be fixed or tamed, or I keep believing in the better of him, but he's definitely not in a place to be ready for anything. And I don't know why I even want to. I don't know why, but it's part of my problem. So anyways, I never did give him the rings, because that's when he realized that I was trying to connect with him, trying to talk to him, and he started listening, and he started saying the right things. And he started saying things like, behind every great man is even a greater woman, and I really feel that without you, Crystal, I wouldn't be where I am today, realizing the shit I put you through, the shit I put my ex through, blah, blah, blah. Your patience and love and, you know, resiliency in me, you keep bringing out the best in me, and I don't want to lose you. And so, of course, that's every woman's dream to hear something like that, right? And I just was falling for it, thinking that he's what I want. I keep thinking he's what I want, because the unknown is unscary. The unknown is very scary. Plus, I know him. I'm passionate about him. I love him when he's great. I think he's a great guy when he's great. He's the perfect pizza, but he puts anchovies on it sometimes. And I keep thinking that we just need to tweak a couple of things and he'll be perfect. But I need to stop thinking I can change him or change anybody. Like, that's where I get in trouble. If he's not bringing his best self already, there's nothing I need to do. I don't need to tap dance a certain way or walk on eggshells the way he wants me to. I just need to present my best self. And if he can't present his best self, then I hold my boundaries and I walk away, because I can't do the attached, enmeshed relationship thing anymore. And we did that for so long. So that's where I'm at with Jim. That's part of the pendulum. And I was not so good in that pendulum part of my night. I went home crying my eyes out, wanting so badly to sneak into his bed and cuddle with him on Monday night. But instead, my body was so exhausted, I ended up falling asleep Monday night in my bed, waking up at 3:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and deciding to go walk to Jim's house. I walked to Jim's house from my apartment. I walked the 2 miles at 3:30 in the morning. I arrived at his place at about 4:45, and I hung out in his bed for about 20 minutes. Not quite cuddling, but just laying there next to him, telling him I'm feeling confused, telling him I'm not sure why I'm there, telling him that I believe in him, but I also want to still be this independent person, letting him know about this pendulum. And I want to be honest with him where I'm at with this. I don't want him thinking that I'm all in or all out. Like, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. And he kept trying to say the right things and do the right things and blah, 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 blah. And I says, I need to tell you something. And he's like, what? And I says, if I can go, what am I saying, Crystal? Speak. If I can sneak over here at 3:30 in the morning to come cuddle with you, if I could feel comfortable enough to do that, I should feel comfortable enough to tell you what happened this weekend. I should. Those two should go hand in hand if they're meant to go hand in hand. And he's like, okay, what happened this weekend? He's expecting the worst. He's ready for me to tell him something really terrible or something. And I told him I drove to Vegas and I came home. I went to Waffalato. I didn't go to the strip. I didn't do anything like he would have been afraid. Like, I had to reiterate to him what I did. And I told him I went skydiving. 2 things that he was absolutely against. He didn't like the idea of somebody being in tandem behind me, jumping out of a plane. He doesn't want to jump out of a plane himself, and he thinks that's just stupid, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't like the idea of me traveling out of town without him. He's never let me drive on my own. That long stretch of road was the first long stretch of road that I have done in over 15 years. And I used to do long stretch of roads all the time, driving up to Utah and whatnot. So I feel that part of my growth, part of my pendulum swinging, if I feel like I'm comfortable enough to cuddle with him, I should feel comfortable enough to tell him the truth. Because I was hiding it from him. And I think that's what was really bothering me on Monday, is I want someone I can be honest with. I want someone that I can be my absolute honest self with, kind of like I'm doing right now. I want that. I want that with any person that I choose to be with. So I'm sorry, I keep talking, but maybe instead of saying sorry, I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to watch this, because I know this is really long and I got to go to work soon, but I got to get this out. I got to get this out because I've been isolating the last couple of days, which I should also say thank you again for my birthday wishes. I didn't look at Marco Polo that day. I was struggling that day. Not externally. I wasn't like falling apart on the outside very much at all. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. But internally I was, and I could sense it. So I was trying to take care of myself rather than looking outwardly to have it fixed, rather than reaching out to Marco Polo to, oh, fix me, make me feel better. I was working on me. I was working on my self-love that day. And I'm proud of myself. But of course, I'm walking into his house the morning of my birthday, 3:30 in the morning. I'm cuddling with him, trying to get the guts to tell him what happened. And I told him about Vegas, and I told him about skydiving, and he reacted very well. He did not throw a fit. He did not say much of anything. He did have a couple questions for me to satisfy his thing. I don't know what he was. I don't know what his thing was. I think he was. Oh, he had me. He watched the skydiving video. He was concerned about the shirt I was wearing, but he didn't really express too much about that. He was trying to show me that he could be supportive and he could be cool with it and stuff. But I sensed that he wasn't all that groovy with it, which I guess is part of the growth. He's going to struggle with that, but I could tell he was trying. And then, yeah, I left. I left that morning. Then all day on my birthday, I did whatever I wanted to do, which was hardly anything. I was struggled. Oh, I went home and I went back to sleep. And when I woke up, I was struggling, and I called Jim and I was struggling. Yes, I was struggling. I was crying. And then I finally managed to make myself some lunch. And when I made myself some lunch, I was going to go pick up the kids and take them to their orthodontist appointments and stuff. And I kept myself busy from that point forward. And then after the orthodontist appointment and the doctor's appointments that I had set up, and I rushed to my mom's house to fulfill me, to figure out my birthday with me. Mom, I'm lonely. I'm struggling. I need someone to do my birthday with me. Otherwise, Jim's going to, swoop in and save the day. Jim told me to call him if my mom doesn't have plans, because he knows how needy I am. He knows that he would have stepped in and done that for me. And I didn't want to go back to Jim. No, I did want to go back to Jim. I actually wanted to be with Jim more than I wanted to be with my mom at that point. That's where my pendulum was at the time. And I almost walked out on my mom, because when I got there, she was painting. She knew I was on my way. She knew I was coming, and she still chose to paint. So, okay, fine, Mom, you're painting. I'm going to go lay on the couch. And she goes, I'm sorry. And I go, no, it's fine. I didn't outwardly say those things. Those were just internal thoughts. She says, I'm sorry, Crystal. I feel bad that you're here to celebrate your birthday and I'm doing this. And I go, it's okay, Mom. I'm going to go lay on the couch. I'm exhausted, blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay. So when she came in, she says, what's wrong? And my daughter's like, she's snapping. And I open my eyes and I says, no, I was just meditating. I need to get rid of some of these things that I'm going through. And she's like, oh, that's good. Because it's true. I was meditating, trying to let go of this desire for Jim and this anger for my mom. And I managed to just live in gratefulness. I managed to just live in, I'm going to be appreciative with whatever, because I didn't make any plans for my actual birthday. I relied on my mom to have something, maybe, but I shouldn't have done that. She didn't have anything ready. She made kind of a big deal about me expecting something of her, because she's already got me a gift. She already loaned me some money. She's already told me I don't have to pay some of it back. She's already told me this is my gift for my birthday, to not have to pay some of it back. And now I'm expecting her to take me out to dinner and take me out. We went out to a dinner and we went out to a movie, the four of us, me and my kids and her. And I didn't have to rely on her for any of that. I should have done it on my own, and I almost did. I had a roast in the fridge. I almost cooked myself dinner. I almost did stuff with my kids, and I almost left my mom out of my birthday, because I didn't want to rely on someone that's very unreliable, one. And two, I wanted to do it on my own. So maybe that'll be the goal next year on my birthday. But the thing is I was having such a pendulum go to gym sort of day that I knew if I didn't stay with my mom, I would have went to gym. So I'm glad that my mom did step up and do what she could. And she, even though she was reluctant about it and kind of bitter about it, she did her best to enjoy it as well. And we went to the movie, and then my son locked the keys in the car. And the moment my son locked the keys in the car, I'm still in a good mood. I'm still fine. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling grateful. I'm doing pretty good. My mom starts chewing him out and yelling at him, which I thought was different. She never does that. She never really yelled at me as a kid, but only a couple of times. And I'm like, Mom, it's fine. She's like, it's a $300 key, blah, blah, blah. And I go, who? What? She says, the locksmith. He'll charge $300 to open that door, make you a new key. I go, the locksmith just has to jimmy the lock with the coat hanger thing or whatever. It's only $50 or whatever. So it's fine, Mom. That's worst case scenario, but I'm going to call Jim. He probably has another clicker locker thing, right? And she allowed me to call him. She doesn't usually like allowing me to call Jim because she knows that's when I spiral into wanting him. She usually just picks up where anyways, what I'm trying to say is Jim did have a clicker. He was on his way. She left, and me and the kids started walking around and just being silly and goofy and waiting for Jim. And when Jim showed up, he of course couldn't help but mention something about the outfit that I was wearing. Yay! Jim saved the day!
Wearing your dress?
Yeah, you like it?
A little short, isn't it?
Is it? You learned your lesson, bub?
Should not put keys in the cars when we went to take a picture?
Don't
really
take Mama's keys. Just keep them to Mom.
Yep, Matthew, the lesson was don't put cars on a key. Don't put cars on the keys, kids.
And that put me into a spiral of what the... I thought you were trying to show me how wonderful you were. You reacted so well to me going to Vegas. You reacted so well to me having this skydiving experience. You reacted so well for me not wanting to hang out with you on my birthday and being a plan B option if I should need you. But the minute you see me in this dress, you can't hold your tongue and just tell me I look good or something. You have to make it all about what other people are thinking about my dress or what other people... My dress was cute. I didn't think there was a problem with it. He felt it was too short. He felt it was too sexy. He didn't say those words, but that's where his issue is. He can't stand that I wanted to feel cute on my birthday. I was working towards that anyway. I was falling apart the minute I put it on. I wasn't falling apart anymore. I felt good about myself, but I was falling apart about Jim just moments before I put that dress on. Especially because I wasn't going to see Jim that day. I told myself I wasn't going to see him, but because the keys got locked in the car, I started falling apart about me wearing the wrong dress and me upsetting him or him being right and me being wrong. And I was like, no. So I was having to stop the pendulum from going that direction. And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, I was in a good mood, Jim. And look what you're doing. This isn't okay. Why do you got to choose those words? Why do you got to choose even being bothered by stuff like that? And he apologized profusely up and down. He realized what he had done the minute he did it, and I wasn't recovered. I felt like this PTSD moment happening right before me. I couldn't tell if his comments were right or wrong. I wasn't sure anymore. I felt like he was gaslighting my experience, and I just feel like he was a jerk, and then he wasn't. He was all of a sudden wonderful. But because him and Brooklyn wanted to make me brownies with mint extract, they invited me over to Jim's house after the key incident. And so I was exhausted all of a sudden from bawling my eyes out and going down that pendulum road thing. And I show up at Jim's ready for brownies. I had a brownie. My body was aching. I was so tired. I did not feel like driving back to my place. And I opted for the massage that Jim offered. And I laid in Jim's bed on the night of my birthday and I allowed him to massage me. And I fell asleep to his massage. Waking up the next morning with all kinds of hangover regret that I just fell for my addiction. I just allowed him to twist my brain into this cyclone that he does where I feel wrong, I feel confused, I feel like I don't know who I am, and that is part of my issue. That's part of my tornado. And I feel like I've been talking forever. But anyways, I looked at him as I'm waking up and I'm realizing all this and I'm realizing what's going on and I'm realizing that I'm going to have to break his heart because I can't do this. I can't keep doing this to myself. He's expecting us to work on stuff and to have these moments like this a lot more now. I've only been gone 7 weeks and he's wanting to work on dating again and stuff like that. He wants to show me, he wants to show up in my life when I have these decisions. Next time I decide to do something like this, he wants to be there for me. And I basically told him that he needs to practice, because that's what he said. He needs to practice showing me that he's changing. He needs to have opportunities where he gets to prove to me that he's changing. And I said, well, what you're asking for is you're wanting me to be your guinea pig. No, that's not, no, I'm sorry. Go find a few girlfriends, go date, go practice on somebody else. And if I feel like you have turned a new leaf or something where I'm interested in your changes, then we can start dating. But he hasn't changed. If he can't keep his comments to himself about the bikini I wore a few weeks ago or the dress I was wearing at the movies, and plus he keeps arguing with me about my boundaries. I tell him what I want and he starts to argue with me that I shouldn't want it. And I'm just like, no, I gotta go. And it took me an hour to leave yesterday morning. And then I went home and the kids wanted a ride. So I gave them a ride to school, even though I just left the house. And I came back and I focused on work for the rest of the day Wednesday. And I also worked on my skydiving video because I feel like the video they gave me was crap. It was only 3.5 minutes long, and they could have done a lot better, I think, for the amount of money that I paid. But that's done and over with. I ended up taking my brother's video and my video and combining them into this experience where I had a before, middle, during, after videos from Brooklyn filming us falling out of the sky. And, you know, I tried slicing it together so that it was enjoyable for me at least, and hopefully it's enjoyable for others. But I did that for me. I didn't like the video that I paid for, so I made me a better one. And I spent way too long on that last night. I also signed up for DoorDash last night. Toot toot. Unfortunately, the app didn't work to let me drive and try it out. I was willing to, but it didn't work for me to do that. So hopefully it'll be ready for me to try maybe tonight. I'll try it. Tonight I have therapy session. I have a 2-hour therapy session with my therapist, and Jim said he wanted to take me out for my birthday tonight. The kids are supposed to come over tonight as well. I don't know what's going on tonight, and I don't know if I want to entertain that anymore. But now it's time for me to go to work, and I've spoken way too long. But I just wanted to say thank you again for inspiring me to go to Vegas. The very fact that I couldn't do things like that, and I should have been able to as a married woman, really ignited something. It ignited those wings, you know? Because whenever I thought about traveling to Utah, you know, I always thought about making that long drive on my own, and I should be able to do that, damn it. But every time I tried talking to Jim about it over 15 years, he always slapped that idea down, because what if something happens on the road and whatever, and you've got the kids, and no, I'm not comfortable with that. And so I always succeeded, which is fine. That's a long trip, and I get it. I've got his kids, and I'm a married woman now, and we should be able to do these drives together. But I couldn't even hop on a plane and go see my family. I couldn't go for a girls' night out to a scrapbooking retreat, even if it was just an hour away in Arizona. Like, I couldn't do anything. And so I wanted my life back. I didn't want to leave him, but I wanted my life back, and he doesn't get that. He thinks it's all about one or the other, and I told him, dude, you're just too attached. Bring it down a notch. Bring it down to a level where I feel a little bit more freedom, and I also feel your love, and I would be your best wife ever. Because I'm not out to go out with other guys. I'm not in it for to being single. I'm in it for myself, and if I have to choose myself over the marriage, then I will. But I don't want that. That's not what I want. I just want him to let go a little bit. If he just would have let go, I would have stayed. Just a little. He didn't have to let go entirely. Oh gosh, there's a lot coming up for me right now. Because I don't want to leave. And I've left. I've moved out. I've got my own place. But I don't want a divorce. I don't want to stop that. The love I have for him. He's the father of my kids, and I've been with him forever, and I have seen his point of view for so freaking long. I just want him to see mine once. I want him to have empathy with where I'm coming from for once. Okay, I'm really talking way too long. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I'm taking one day at a time. I'm not trying to make too many crazy plans, or I'm not making any huge promises to myself. I'm just working on my self-love one day at a time. And I think Marco Poloing people once in a while is very therapeutic, very cathartic. it's very, very helpful to be able to share my story to others and get support along the way. And I'm sorry that I'm not very supportive to like your journey or my other friends, what they're going through. I'm not in that space right now to be very supportive. I'll try, I'll do my best, but I'm not very good at that right now. I am feeling like I am so involved. I am self-assured, and at the same time, I'm figuring my way through this, and I've only got 24 hours in a day, and most of those days are still spent obsessing about gym, and so I'm practicing pulling myself out of that without obsessing about something else, without spending too much money or shopping too much online or drinking. I started drinking almost too much. I'd have a whole freaking bottle of wine once in a while, and that way I could just stop obsessing about him or obsessing about how lonely I felt. I'm not doing wonderfully, but I'm not falling apart every day like I was at gyms. I am doing better. It's just part of where I'm at. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to go to therapy tonight. And those are my only two plans right now. I will talk to you later. Maybe later today, maybe later another time. Thanks again. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Love you.